Well, hello. My name is Kurt Bell, and this is my morning good life meditation for February 13th, 2023. Hopefully, you'll excuse me if I'm a little bit out of practice. I haven't been doing this for about a week and a half, and I'm feeling a little rusty and a little jet lagged and a little mentally scrambled after my big adventure with my wife in Japan. So bear with me, please, while I get through this. I don't quite have the routine in me. I do this video each and every morning shortly after waking up. It's now 4:30 a.m. exactly, so I'm right on schedule. I do this in order to remember my life objectives and principles, those that are outlined in my book, Going Alone. I call this the Good Life Creed. I do this to reflect on these and remember them, to tinker with them and improve. I also use this time to reflect on the last 24 hours and any challenges and opportunities of interest or note that I had a chance to face down or work with in any way. I also think about the coming day and whatever challenges I might face as well, whatever I can anticipate to plan for these. And with that, let's get started. First, the last 24 hours, including last night's sleep. Last 24 hours were hard work. It's tough climbing back up into routine after a big break from that, especially as I'm getting older. Whew. I remember this was always hard. I used to be a road warrior traveler, traveling for work a lot. And it was a lot of fun, and it was interesting, and it was hard. And I remember this experience as well. But it feels harder now at 50, almost 59. Glad I don't do this routinely. Or maybe if I did, it would be more mechanized, more mechanical, more of a simple part of my life. Anyway, it was a tough the last 24 hours. Sleep was off. I was awake during the night and wanting to sleep during the day and forcing myself to stay awake. The day was largely useless. I didn't get my chores done the way I wanted to. I nearly finished cleaning the house, and I did just about everything I wanted to do that was on my list, except some shopping was not complete, and I'll need to do that this afternoon after work. Dog food and a few things from Trader Joe's. And last night, didn't sleep so well. Two things. One was the jet lag keeping me up, and the second one was my work anxiety is back. Funny, didn't have any trouble sleeping while I was on vacation in Asia. It's like I had hit the reset button, hit the snooze button, and gone back to sleep in a deep way. Yeah. What I did do was I was up every morning at 4 a.m. Somehow my body was attuned to that. Even without the alarm going off, I was waking up at 4 a.m. But it wasn't waking up and that was before the alarm. That was bodily alarm waking me up. Before that, I wasn't thinking about work, but now I am. I'm anxious and nervous about the day, as I always am on a work day. But more so because I've got a week and a half, 2 weeks in fact, a full 2 weeks that I missed, and deliverables that are due today, and I don't know the state of things. Although I will confess, yesterday on Sunday, I peeked in and opened my email and sorted through. I looked through all the email. There were 409 email waiting for me. I know that probably doesn't seem a lot for 2 weeks by some standards, but of those, I was able to distill down about 30 or so that will require my attention this morning. So I know what's facing me in terms of my email. I know what's facing me in terms of my meetings. I don't know what is facing me in terms of any issues that are outstanding and the state of our deliverables that are due in the next 3 days. And right after that, in short order, lots of them coming fast and furious for the rest of the year. And it's only February. So yeah, dreaming of not having to do this anymore because I'm tired. Tired of striving to do well. Just worn out. Which is the most compelling reason to retire that I've yet found. Although I know that could be a death sentence if, figuratively and maybe literally, if I don't do that well. That was one of the things about being way out there on the Izu Peninsula in Japan, looking at Akia empty homes and small villages that are dying, and asking myself, do I want a place in a dying village? Can I keep my head above water in a place where everyone else seems to be drowning around me? Now my place is kept above water by virtue of the necessity of my work. There would be little or no such necessity there, out there on the Izu Peninsula. So for a brief moment on the trip, I rebelled against the retirement or idea of retirement. I said, no way, I'm not going to go down that route because I was scared. I've overcome that. I've gotten back on. I've lifted myself away from that concern. I have enough will and motive and interest to keep going on my own, but what I don't have is necessarily any control over my bodily and mental decline, which is oncoming. I know Juan, if Juan sees this, Juan will tell me that I should work harder on it, on the forecasting, but then nevertheless, the body will decline. I know, you probably would tell me even then. But it weighs on my mind. I feel like I've covered a lot more than the last 24 hours, haven't I? But these are the ideas that have been floating through my head since coming back. And though they're not the ones that kept me awake last night, the ones that woke me up before the alarm were the thoughts of work and the jet lag and the sound of the Shinkansen. What? Yeah, I know this can't be real, but I was laying there. This must have been just 2 hours ago, and I had the windows open, as I always like to keep it open for the night air on my side of the bed. And I could hear the ocean here in Huntington Beach. The waves are always big, and they're big right now. I could hear the waves crashing 1.5 miles away. And then suddenly, I heard a very distinct sound that I know from Japan, that I heard again while I was there, which is the sound of the passing Shinkansen bullet train moving at hundreds of miles an hour. It sounds kind of like if someone was running knife blades over metal, kind of a high pitch. It's very distinct sound. My ears are very keen to it because I live next to the Shinkansen bullet train, so we're especially worked next to them for years, and would hear that sound incessantly. I mean, literally every few minutes, from day in, day out. And I thought I heard it last night while listening to the waves, twice. Once took me by surprise, and maybe 30 seconds later, considering my surprise, I heard it again. Now I know I didn't hear the Shinkansen, that's impossible. But sure did sound like it. And I'd never heard that sound before here, listening with windows open, listening to the sea at night. Curious thing. So I think I've summarized the last 24 hours in enough detail. Not feeling good right now. Definitely not feeling good. I'm not ready for the day. But I'll get to that in a minute when I talk about the day. Let's get through the Good Life Creed. Get through is the right word. It feels like a labor right now. I tried to do this while I was in Japan. There are two things that I do every day, without fail, and that is a lot of things, but two things that I really am proud of myself holding to, which is one, I do this through the Good Life Creed, at least the lightning round, and two, I read my Bible every day. And I regret to say I failed utterly at both while I was in Japan. My days were so full and busy and packed, and it wasn't for a lack of trying. I didn't try to read the Bible. I just kind of somehow gave up on that for the 2 weeks. But I'll climb back on that horse. As soon as I got back yesterday, I was right back at it, at Hosea 6 yesterday. And I'll read Hosea 7 as soon as I'm done with this. But I didn't do the Good Life. I don't think I made it through one time to the end. Well, maybe one time. There was one time I was walking and I did it. I was talking it out loud. I just couldn't. I couldn't remember it. And I couldn't complete it. like lay down in bed to try to and do it. In the morning, I was just up and going, and I would walk alone in the dark and try to do it, and I couldn't get through it. I couldn't remember. And then I would lay down, or I would sit in the onsen and try to do it, no one in there, do it out loud, and couldn't remember and couldn't do it. I think there was one time I finished it, but that was it. So good luck. Let's see if I can get through it. I've got the book there if I need to for practice. I can refer to. Here we go. I'm going to give myself the lightning round this morning as well. I need to work myself back up to the full application and recital, so to speak. Here we go. My 7 objectives, and I think I can get through these. Number 1 is to be always ready to die. Number 2 is to make good and effective use of my time. 3, to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. 4, to cultivate good emotional reactions. 5, to perform good actions. 6, to recognize true limits and true opportunities. 7, to do just one thing at a time and do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully. There, I got through the 7, but what a pitiful job. I wasn't even thinking about them. It was like reading a man reading a teleprompter without even thinking about them. This trip really scrambled my brain and my routine. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's time for a good scramble. I'll accept wherever's going on. Now, the principles. Let's see if how far I can get with this without needing help or a long pause. War, reason, homunculus, anchor hold, home of good and evil, purpose, atomic principle, principle of nature, the pirate ride, maturity, social principle, principle of family, public speaking, distraction, agency in the great indifference, temperance, life will not go well, the horror show, that which must be borne, the feast of woeful, the best seat in the house, the restless man, the path of wildness, the great life adventure, the risk of avoiding risk, sin and damnation, complete oblivion, the season of philosophy, the bullseye aim, the uphill climb, arena and utility, script writing, nothing is enough, the principle of fun. I think I made it. I know I messed up the end. I put script writing a little too late. It belonged just before the bullseye aim. I know I got the season of philosophy, and I know I got the best seat in the house too, that I frequently miss. I should have enumerated them. I should have been ticking them off. I think I got all 34. So what was the problem? Why couldn't I do that in Japan? I literally couldn't make it through that list. I would sit in like, I remember sitting at least twice, maybe 3 times in the hot spring bath with no one else there. I could talk out loud, trying to go through these. I would get about 10 or 12 in and just lose it. It would disappear. Same thing, I was walking through the hills in Shizuoka, up in the mountains, in the dark, reciting them in low voice and, low tones. Couldn't get through it. Time and again, I couldn't do it. Laying there in bed even. Not necessarily asleep, I just couldn't get through it. How strange. Yet I was living it. But it was a kind of a more distant living. I kind of think I fell back into my routine, maybe, of who I used to be. The good life wasn't part of my life in Japan. That might be it. Maybe it's like putting on an old jacket that was suitable for life in Japan, and the good life goodies were not in the pocket. I couldn't reach in and pull them out because they weren't there. Yet they're here because I wear that man. I wear that skin. I am that guy here. Interesting. And I would say that while I was in Japan, I was not actively applying the creed the way I do so conscientiously here. Another interesting observation, if I do say so myself. What would happen when I go back? I'm sure I can climb back into it. I can build myself again. Yeah. Okay, I got through that. There's only one thing left to do now. That is to plan for the coming 24 hours. So here's the plan. And I forgot my little tablet, my little thing there. I usually keep it there. Maybe I can write it down here. I've got a dog. Always laying on my lap, so I can't do anything. I'll transfer it over there after I get up. I don't want to disturb the dog. Okay, what am I going to do today? 1. I'm going to work. Said like a dying man. I'm going to work. It's okay. Once I'm into it, once I'm 30 minutes, an hour into my work, I'll be back. I know it. Then I'm going to get dog food. Oh, I need to read the Bible. And then I need to go to Trader Joe's. I'll need to go to, I might go to the beach or I might not. Since I hurt my leg. I hurt my leg. I don't know if I mentioned that. Let me mention that in just a second. Let me finish the list. That's it, I think. That's all I need to do today. Now, the dog food and the Bible I'll do now. The dog food and the Trader Joe's and the beach, of course, will come after work. The work will take up the main portion of the day. So I will finish this, read my Bible, then go over, fire up the computer, start the day in earnest, right? But boy, am I early. It's not even 5 o'clock. I could do some reading if I wanted to. I could jump in and try to catch up on my work. And, 6:30 is early. That's when I usually start. I'm going to have a lot of time ahead of me. But it's not good to just dwell on that, Kurt. Maybe I could catch up on some of that email, but then I'm way working too much. Oh, let me talk. I forgot to mention about my leg. About 2 days before we went to Japan, I did a Herculean 4-mile run on the beach. I ran my usual 2 miles, and then I added another 2 miles to it. And I knew that I was doing that. That was a bad idea. Yet I was trying to get some extra mileage in before I went to Japan, and I knew I wouldn't be running. And I screwed up my left leg, somewhere in the knee. Something's wrong. While I was in Japan, every time I tried to walk any distance, like I would get up at 4 a.m. and go walking around wherever I was. I compounded it, and it just got worse, and it got really bad. I could barely walk, and it's back that now. So it's like that now. I can't walk the dogs. I can't go out. I'm really screwed myself up somehow. That thing that I do in the evening where I make that video and I run and I jump over the camera and then hurtle myself into the sea. No way I can do that right now. So if I can get down to the sea, if I try to do that, I'm going to just walk in. Although it's a little different to walk into a cold sea than it is to jump into a cold sea, isn't it? I'll still try, but I might give myself some time for that. Old man here's got to recover. And I'll have to make an appointment to go see the doctor. Damn it. Just one thing. It's like I see my doctor every week or two now. Because that's the reason I got to get out of here, retired. Because old age is coming for me. And I need to get safe and sane. And just last thing I'll say before I finish is I'm not going to get into this. I'm just going to comment. Really interesting conversation with Emily after we got back. The three of us sat here the day we got back and talked for a long time about everything. And it was very interesting to hear her blooming ideas. Now, I'll leave it at that. It's her life, after all. but very interesting and encouraging. I'm very pleased and intrigued by where that young woman's life is headed. And with that, we'll finish with that. I think I'm going to call this one, give this video a name that's reflective of the harder part of the reality, which seems to be the thing that is of most interest to people. I mean, I can sit here all day and talk about the good things that happened on our trip. But resonates, you can check out my social media for all that. What resonates most is the difficulty. Everybody's facing difficulty. And I'm facing a difficulty in getting back on my feet, recovering my footing, my balance, and my equanimity after 2 weeks away from doing this. I'm confident I can do it, though. So he says with such a low voice, "Do I really sound confident? I am certainly trying." All right, that's that. Take care. With that, my life is done, if not complete. And I do mean that. Take care. Be safe, but not too safe. Bye-bye.